morning, everybody. Hope you're enjoying yourselves a delicious coffee, Folgers crystals in the morning. Best part of waking up is Folgers crystals in your cup. What's going on, everybody? How you doing this beautiful Saturday morning, college football Saturday morning? This is the GUNZPICKS. Oh yes, Guns Picks, and this is Guns Picks on Saturday mornings, college football edition. And listen, we got ourselves a beautiful slate. I'm going to give you three of my added plays that I didn't give out last night on the college football show with the Shark. And I'm also going to be joined here with some special guests here in a minute. But I want to make sure that I tell everybody to like and subscribe to the Shark Waters Nation channel and hit the like button and get into the comment section on this show. And I just want to call out a shout out to the Candyman. The Candyman can, because he likes to make the world taste good. Oh boy, Guns, I have a cup of coffee parlay for you. He thinks it's going to be Bama, Florida, Ohio State, Utah, Washington, Maryland, South Carolina, Ohio, Pitt plus 7.5, LSU, Air Force, Notre Dame, Washington State, Miami. And that is a plus 11,367. Don't like it, love it. Good way to start the show there, Candyman. Let me get to some of you guys in the chat. Shout out Thieves by Law. Finally can catch a live one. What's up, fellas? And of course, Justin joining us here. Stacks Pod says, let's do Maryland minus 14. Stacks record 79 and 85. Listen, love putting the plays out there, baby. I actually like Maryland today. Not officially playing it, but I do like Maryland's spot on the bounce back. What's up, fellas? Wine Time is joining us on the show. Let's go, baby. I'll give him a horn for that one. And of course, Clint, my man, what's good for weather? Got some wind today in Kentucky game. Listen, I'm in Maryland right now, and it is raining, cloudy. It's a miserable day, but however, it's a good day to be stuck inside because there is so much college football to watch in here. But I want to make sure I get my guest in here, and of course, you've seen him on the show before. He is all over the Pub Sports Nation. You can find him on Nerd Radio. You can find him on everything YouTube related as far as gambling content is concerned. He is electric. He is energy, and he is something that I need for the Saturday morning show. It is Mr. Pimp Slap himself. Mike, what's going on, my friend? How you doing this beautiful morning?
What up, Guns? Let's get that coffee in us here. We got a nice little Saturday slate ahead of us. Shout out to everybody in the chat this morning as well. Ready to rock and roll. Get your pens and pencils out. Make sure you share with us in the chat what you guys are betting on as well. I'm excited, dude. We got a great card today.
Yeah, great card today. Not as good as last week, but it's still a great card. I think we have a few top games to be watching here. 3:30 slate's going to be electric with the Pac-12. And then we had an electric one last night with we were talking about it before the show with Colorado and Stanford. Stanford making that electric comeback. I know it did kill your total on this one, but still a fun game to watch in the late night degenerate special. All right. Let's talk about some of these main games today. Bring them up here. Let's start with this A&M Tennessee game. Listen, you saw what happened to A&M last week. Getting down to the 2-yard line, almost punched it in for the cover. However, a holding penalty killed it, field goal, and then a third down conversion in the most dramatic ways from a bobble catch for Alabama to seal the deal and the cover for Alabama. And then, of course, I think Tennessee coming off a bye week, if I remember, on this one. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so the total, we've got 59% of the bets on Texas A&M. We've got 63% of the cash. The line coming down in kind of a bounce back spot. But there's been a trend that I've been kind of tracking and keeping my eyes on is how do the SEC teams do when they have the extra rest and whether or not it makes sense to kind of back them. As much as you would think the extra rest gives you that time to prep and get ready for it, it's still only about a 50-50 spot, specifically in the SEC. It's just hard to win the SEC. You can't stack up, unless you're like one of the big three, one of those first couple of spots out there. But, as far as 2 or 3 wins in a row, those are certainly hard to come by. The spot that I was looking to, though, for this game was the under. And my feeling here was just kind of that situation last week with what happened with that kind of debauchery at the end of the game. Tennessee's got that over coming off of that September 30th spot there, which kind of jacked the number up after previously having 3 consecutive unders. And Texas A&M hasn't been getting this number either. So we've got 45.5 was the total last week. They just crossed over at 46. And I see it now at this 55.5 spot. To me, There's I guess it's moving even further to 54.5. I still like it at 54.5. That's the spot that I'm going to be on, is the under.
Oh, perfect. Like that play on that one. Actually, I lean towards the A&M side on this one. I think I said it last week. I thought A&M was the best team in the SEC West. Turns out that loss is probably going to kill their hopes on this one. It looks like it's going to be an Alabama run on this one, but I guess we'll see on that one. I just think they're coming on the bounce back. I'm not very high on Tennessee at all this season. I think that they're due for a regression of what happened to them last year. If there's any play on this one, I think we got to ride with the short away dog on this one, and hopefully Jimbo gets the bounce back here with A&M. But that is my lean on that one. Nothing official, but I would go in that direction. I saw C-Mac come in, and then he just bounced out. See if he goes back in here. But let's talk to the guys in the chat. Odds bunch in there says, good fucking morning. Get in where you fit in. Sharpie, that's it, man. I'll give him a little bit of a horn. Candyman says, bring it, Pimp. He says, shout out to the Pimp on this one. And then, of course, the dabs start coming in there. What up, my guy? Give him a yeah on that one.
Yeah.
But now we got 24 of you beautiful bastards in here. You better be hitting the like button, because I am going to get absolutely pissed. I'm actually going to drive to your house or fly to your house. I'm going to knock on your door and I say, why the hell didn't you hit the like button when I was on live? So make sure you do that right now. It's very simple. You just go over there. There's a thumb like this. You just hit it. It's very simple. Just do that for me. God damn it. All right, let's talk about this beautiful, freshly brewed. I actually made it I grinded up the beans. I put it in my coffee maker, and it is absolutely tasty. We call this little baby the cup of coffee pot. And the cup of coffee parlay, always sponsored by our Viva Tequila Salsa. Viva Tequila Salsa is 4.5 ABV, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and the tastiest drink to drink when you're watching college football. Go check them out, vivaseltzer.com. But this is a cup of coffee parlay that I brewed up today. We're talking Miami, Ohio money line. We're talking A&M money line on the bounce back. We just talked about that one. South Carolina money line, Washington money line, Georgia State money line, Air Force money line, Mizzo money line, and Northern. We're going with a 5.5 point dog at home in the MAC. We're going Northern Illinois to beat Ohio, one of the best teams in the MAC. We'll put them in the money line parlay. Why not? And that is 17,390 plus. And if you put $10 on it, it'll get you $1,739. So get on it. It's just a cup of coffee parlay. We're not spending hundreds of millions of dollars on this one. We're just spending a couple Starbuckses or a couple of Dunkin' Donuts, whatever coffee place you like to go to on that one. So what are your plays today? What are your top best bets on this one, Mike?
Yeah, kind of a interesting card for me today, because I didn't really jump into a lot of the marquee games. In fact, some of the games that I kind of highlighted here, I just wouldn't play traditionally. I'll tell you, one of my favorite spots on the card, I looked at the Iowa State game, and I'm hammering that under. I don't care if this number's moved at this point either. It's an intersecting zero spot for me. I started talking about this yesterday. When I find complementary trends that both have a zero on the other side of the equation, that's the intersecting zero for me. And they've been hitting at just an incredibly high rate. You can find trends that'll show you numbers that kind of go either side of things, and you can scrub it and dissect it and break them down all you want. But for me, in this Iowa State game, I got kind of a double factor going on here. The first factor, Matt Campbell. When Matt Campbell's an away dog of less than 7 points, he's 0-9 to the under. He's going under by 18.5 points. Furthermore, when Iowa State's a dog of less than 7 points, they're 21-0 to the under. So yeah, the Matt Campbell factor kind of consists or complements that same trend as well at the 0-9. But then he got the 0-21 in that dog spot of less than 7 points, going under by 16.5 as well. I'll take that 43. I know it's a low number, but it's a low number for a reason. And you got Iowa State 3-3. You got Cincinnati Bearcats coming in at 2-3. This number is getting beat up. I mean, clearly everybody's on this under, and I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, you've got Cincinnati coming off of a game where they just played at BYU. They got over that 47, and they've been kind of trending on that over train, which I think helps us bloat that number up. When they continue to push it up, we can get some value and kind of coming in and undercutting it. Iowa State just came off of an under at 52.5 against TCU. This number is so low. Again, I think it's low for a reason. I got that under 43 as the first spot that I liked. Another spot here that I was looking at is Notre Dame. You know, so we got USC. USC's 0-7 as a dog. Straight up, they're 2-5. I'm sorry, as a dog straight up, they're 0-7. They're 2-5 against the spread. But Notre Dame intersects here with the 0. Notre Dame in a revenge spot after losing by 10 or more points are 6-0, and they're covering that margin of victory by 12.86 points. I know you're going to like that Notre Dame pick out there, and I had to jump in on that as well. Again, intersecting 0 spot for me made a ton of sense. The third spot that I like here for you guys is App State. Appy Valley. Give me App State 10-0 against the spread after they allowed 30 or more points their previous game and at least 3 points their game before that as well. Kind of just showing that as they start to leak points, as they start to hemorrhage points in these situations, they come back, they bounce back 10-0 against the spread, covering the spread by 9.5 points as well. So I got that App State Notre Dame look. And then the last spot that I had to jump in on was Duke. There's a complementary trend for Notre Dame, but I looked at Duke, you know, specifically when they've lost, when they're coming off of a home favorite situation where they're on a 3 or greater game losing streak, 23-10 against the spread, 13-20 to the under. Both Notre Dame and Duke fit this mold and formula today. But I like the Duke spot here. I like what I'm seeing out of Duke this season. That's been a team that's been pretty competitive for me. Between the hash marks, they're playing physical football. They're finding a way to be competitive and come back and show that they can get the ball down the field, moving it quickly with their offensive game. And I think they're going to give them some fits today as well. So I had to jump in. I got Notre Dame right now is -2.5 as the number that I officially locked in for that. And Duke's down to -3 against NC State in some spots. So they open at -3.5, ticked it down just slightly to -3. Make sure you line shop to get the best value.
God, yeah, I'm going to give you a horn. Bringing the heat, bringing the fire here on a Saturday morning, but I make sure I properly introduce my next guest in here. You've seen him all over the Pub Sports Nation. You can find him on Twitter at Connor Mac Picks. It is the C-Mac himself. What's going on, my friend? How you doing this beautiful Saturday morning? You look sick. I saw you in the background. I think you're
I'm all right, though. I'm good. We got to be up. It's Saturday morning, baby, and it's a little early. I slept in, went through the alarm a little bit, but nothing I've done before. I'm ready to roll, boys. How we doing?
Oh, man.
What up, C-Mac?
It's a beautiful morning, but I want to make sure I got to acknowledge the people in the chat on this one. And Clint, listen, we're going to be talking about this play in a second. I think you're in the right mindset with the GUNZ on that one. Let's talk about this one. Yeah, I went back and forth on that one. He's talking about the Auburn game, of course. Flea Mathis says, pimping guns. Don't forget the C-Mac. I know you just came in on that one, but let's talk about Georgia State's a good look. Dabby Cab himself says that. And of course, my guy, Football Guy 97 says, Guns, did you ever track how many hits you can so you can start looking at those teams a little bit closer? Maybe. Let's get to that one, but let's talk about the one of my added plays for this Saturday, and we'll be talking about. Let's just bring up the game that was mentioned in the chat. We're talking this Auburn LSU game, and did I get my right notes up here? It doesn't look like that. Give me 1 second, and there we go. I have so many things open up here. It's ridiculous. All right, let's talk Auburn, LSU. This game does start 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm looking at the Auburn side on this one, plus 11, 2-unit special. Let me tell you why. Auburn coming off a bye week, back-to-back losses to A&M and UGA. Those teams, strong teams in the SEC, and they actually played a real close game versus Georgia, 27-20. But losing the net yardage battle in that one, -113 net yards. Now you have LSU coming off a nice road win and a backdoor cover, for that matter, versus Missouri last week on the road, 49-39, plus 6 net yards in that game. Now, we know what LSU's defense is. It's Swiss cheese, and it's absolutely awful. They give up 446 yards per game, 5.1 yards per carry on the ground, 283 yards passing. This year, this defense is ranked 124th in the country overall in giving up the yardage. We have Auburn is a team that wants to run the ball. They're very one-dimensional in that regard. With Peyton Thorne in there as a quarterback, 4.8 yards per carry, but they have multiple rushing options, including their quarterback, Peyton Thorne, who averages 4.4 yards per carry. Now you got LSU playing to the level of their competition, basically. You saw what they did against Arkansas. They only won by 3. Lost to Ole Miss in dramatic fashion by 6, and then they beat Missouri by 10, but that's a misleading total, like I said. Missouri had the ball in their zone, threw a pick 6, and that was the game on that one. But Missouri pretty much had full control of that game. I would say 75% of the game versus LSU. Now you have the revenge factor for Auburn in this one because they lost at home versus LSU last season, 21-17 as 8-point dogs. Auburn has won the previous 2 matchups besides that game in 2022. The underdog in this matchup is absolutely exceptional. That's the one you need to be taking because they are 7-0 ATS in the last 7 meetings. And then you got to look at Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze as an underdog is 27-12 ATS and has 17 outright wins in these spots. So you have a live dog here with the Auburn Tigers. They're coming off a bye, well prepared, well rested, coming off back-to-back losses versus some great teams, especially number 1 Georgia. Revenge spot. LSU coming off a misleading road win, and it's their 7th game in a row without a bye, and they're going to be going into their bye next week. I'm going to be riding this Hugh Freeze train today. Give me Auburn plus 11, 2-unit special, baby. As we go back to the chat, let's talk to some of the people out there. And it looks like Connor fucking Mack is in the building today. We have Free Mind, what it do? And we Justin in here says, yes, sir, hit the money line on Notre Dame yesterday. And Bob the Candyman says, I can see Auburn covering. Look at the Georgia game. And the coin says, the gun. Mikey M, C Mac in the building. Let's go, baby. And of course, my guy, my man, the Shark is joining us this beautiful Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us here, baby. Give him the horn. C Mac.
Yeah.
What are you on today on this Saturday, week 7?
Let's break down this game real quick. The Auburn, I like the bet. I've talked about it for weeks now. There's no way you can lay points. The only thing is it's night game for LSU. You know, the whole lore there, but they should not be laying doubles in this spot. You went back to it, 7-0, and the last time LSU won this game and covered was 2015, a long time ago. And back then they had better defenses, even though that game had some scoring in it. LSU really bad against the pass. You went through it, but they give up a ton on the run. You know, against the run. You know, they give up 160 on the ground. Auburn wants to do that, so they'll have success, even though Peyton Thorne can't throw a lick anywhere, and it's tough to watch at times. I think they stick with LSU. And on the flip side, though, LSU is going to score. You know, they're just going to keep on scoring. But this many points, I think the back door's open, or they're just in this football game from jump. So I love the play there here with Auburn. Take the points.
Damn, that is love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
The only concern I have in that game is Auburn's inefficiency is probably the most gentle way to describe their effectiveness on the road in the SEC. They haven't won a game in 2 years on the road in the SEC. So
facts. But they don't need to win it, Mikey. You just need to cover.
Yeah, they just need to cover.
They've been losing on average by 16 points in those games. So, 11.5 is that magic number. We'll see if that's enough to get underneath it. But I can't, C-Mac, you and I we're watching that LSU game in week 1. I still won't forgive them for what they did to me against Florida State there. So tough for me to get on that.
Still hurt? You're still hurt?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude, that was a big game. First game of the season, publicly betting it.
True.
Getting beat down right off the top.
I was on FSU, so that was a beautiful win for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I see a lot of people talking about this game. I'm going to bring it up in the chat. Dabby Cab brought up this. And, of course, Mikey already broke down the analysis on the Notre Dame game. He's got USC first half plus 1.5 and the money line on this one. He is on Lonely Island. It seems like a lot of people on this Notre Dame take. And that does scare me as a Notre Dame fan. But let's talk about this game. All right. Notre Dame Dream Crusher last week versus LSU, actually getting dominated on the road, but they were in the worst scheduling spot on the planet, coming off the Ohio State game, coming off that dramatic win on the road versus a ranked Duke team, and then they have to go back on the road to go play Louisville. Now they're in their home in South Bend, rainy, windy. It's supposed to be on this game, night game versus their rival USC for, I think it's some shillelagh that they're playing for. It's like the Golden Shillelagh. There's two shillelaghs they play for. I can't remember which one it is. But this is the game. This is the rivalry. I'll start with you, Connor, because Mike already broke down the game. What are your thoughts on Notre Dame versus USC?
Yeah, the one thing now, they're basically the 2.5s are just about gone. Now we're seeing the 3. Just the 3's it, I think, here. To me, when this game came out, it's like to want to be on Notre Dame, I talked about earlier in the week, it basically had to pick them because I think this comes down to the wire. I think the game's close. Because one thing, SC's defense is going to give up a ton, but Caleb Williams is going to be able to score. Even though I want it, and that's why I want Notre Dame in this, is at home after a horrible game, bunch of turnovers. I've talked about how Sam Hartman can't come up in the big games. He never has, really. This would be huge if he could do it. But they have the better defense, and they're at home in some shitty weather, like you talked about. Keep the ball away from that SC offense. Run it, run it, run it. I think Notre Dame is it, but it's just a lean for me. I'm not going crazy here on this game because I think it could come down to a field goal.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. I think it could be the last team with the possession with like a minute or so left. My concern really, I lean on the Notre Dame side just from enough boxes are checked on that side, but I'm not officially making the bet. And the reason is because I saw with the Notre Dame offense since the Ohio State game has been non-existent.
Sure.
They didn't score any points versus Ohio State. They didn't really score any points versus Duke, and of course last week they didn't even show up versus Louisville. So I don't know if you're playing this USC team, you have to score points, and I think you can because their defense is awful. And I think Notre Dame will score some points and kind of revive that offense. However, if they get into these positions where it is in their, they're in the red zone and they're not converting touchdowns and they're settling for field goals, that might be trouble going further into the game because USC is going to probably score touchdowns or not. They're just going to be pushing you the whole time. And if you're going score for score with this team, I would give the lean towards the USC side. But I think this is the best defense that Notre Dame, actually USC, has seen all season. They really haven't played anybody. This is their biggest test, and then you have the Notre Dame side that they've been road tested, battle tested, gone through the grinder and spit out, and they're going into a bye week. They're going to leave everything on the table. I like to take teams that are going into a bye, not coming off of a bye in most cases. That because I think you get their best effort knowing that they're going to have an extra week rest after the game. So I think there's a motivational factor to get right here, and it's a revenge factor for Notre Dame, how they performed last season. So I lean on the Notre Dame side, but not playing officially. I'm just going to watch as a fan, and I'm just hoping that I know Notre Dame's college football playoffs are shattered, but maybe we get into a decent, New Year's Six bowl. That's kind of what I'm looking for in this one.
Real quick, Guns and SC last year got all those turnovers. Right. Like they could use that big in this game because they haven't got it really this year, but they haven't played anybody, and they've gotten through the schedule here to get to Notre That we'll see if they that defense can make any plays. That's just been awful.
Yeah, last year USC survived off being opportunistic on the turnovers, so that was not. If you were with the crystal ball, you could see that they were going to get a lot of turnovers in that game last year. This year, they're not as opportunistic, but they're just scoring a lot more points. I don't think they played really well with Colorado. They stayed with them there. And, of course, last week versus Arizona, nearly gotten beaten, had to take them into overtime. But I think we're starting to see who this USC team really is. And I think today is going to be the true test, the true reality of who USC is. So hopefully, I'm praying if the gods love Notre Dame, like all the priests and all the religious folks say they do, then Notre Dame should win this game. But we will see on that. Another game that's going to be popping here, another ranked game was Miami versus UNC. This game is on 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Drake May and the boys at home playing this Miami team that lost in what I consider the worst coaching decision of all time. Cristobal says, run the ball. down the ball, victory formation. Teach your guys how to do it, folks, because you could have a situation that happened last week, fumbling the ball. Maybe his elbow was down, maybe it wasn't, but the ref said it wasn't. And of course, you had the late touchdown with 20 some odd seconds left. Unbelievable turn of events for them. I'll start with you, Mikey. Do you have any thoughts on this Miami UNC game?
Yeah, I got the Miami first half. The thought process being that everybody top to bottom on that team that defense looked just pissed off. Those players looked like they wanted to beat that coach right in the face. And despite his best efforts, he got through it. He ended up blowing the game. It was amazing. So, I think this is an opportunity where he's got to save face with this locker room. Or he's going to be marching his ass out of town. It's going to be a quick turnaround for him. So you don't want to lose the locker room. You got to give everything they've got right off the hop here. And they look pretty good to start that game. Granted, they had some stumbles and kind of fell down a little bit there. And obviously we saw what happened at the end. But I can get 1.5 for the Miami first half spot. I think it's just a situation where they've got to put all hands on deck to get out early and try to put that behind him. I know as a coach in the locker room, exactly what he's telling those kids is we got to put that behind us. We got to move forward one day at a time, one play at a time, and let's go out there and start strong. And I feel like that's what we're going to see here with this Miami game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that. Connor, what are your thoughts?
You know what? I haven't made a bet on this game, and I do lean Miami a little bit because I think they can come out and give everything they got early. One thing I've been a little bit impressed with, obviously the horrible mistake, you already hit on it. It just is Miami's defense. I think they played pretty good, and the numbers show they're pretty good. And on the flip side, North Carolina's defense has been good. I actually had that under last week. They did all the scoring. Syracuse did nothing, so that stayed under, which was crazy. I think we mentioned last week I had never taken a North Carolina under in probably 5 years with that shitty defense they've had. But two good offenses, two good quarterbacks. They have plenty of success. I think we get a good game. And 3 out of the last 4 decided by 3 points. I think we could get another one in this game. So I lean the points, so I had to take it here in Miami.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. I think the value's on the Miami side, and I think it's just the perception of what happened last week. I think you need to wipe that out of the window. It was a look-ahead spot. They were playing UNC next week. They overlooked Georgia Tech, which I understand. Listen, this is a team that beat Texas A&M and beat them handily at home. That is this is a team that is a lot better than people anticipated. I know Cristobal made mistakes, and actually a football guy brought this one up. He said Cristobal has done this 2 times now. I think he's done it 3 times, actually. Somebody brought up some story before he was coaching Oregon that there was another situation that this happened to him. So I don't know why he can't learn from his mistakes and learn how to do a victory formation. He feels like he has to run the ball. It is exceptionally stupid for Cristobal to do. Another football guy says Cristobal will go nowhere. Somehow 4-star recruits was there and still committed, and his buyout is massive. Yeah, true. On that one, but listen, schools can spend money; they don't really care, especially Miami. But I lean on the Miami side on this one. I think it's a get right bounce back spot. I like Tyler Van Dyke. I think it's going to be really fun to watch with those 2 quarterbacks, the pedigrees of the ACC, and not only that, probably high draft picks coming out there with Tyler Van Dyke and Drake May. So I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. Not officially playing on this one, but I lean on the Miami side. All right, got to give one of my added picks on this one. We did talk about the Auburn game, but I want to talk about. Let's get into some of the weeds. Let's play in the crumbs. Let's play in the MAC shit on this one. Miami, Ohio versus West Virginia. Western Michigan on 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go find it on ESPN Plus or I don't know, streaming somewhere in South America. I don't know where you find this game, but let's talk. But I like the Miami, Ohio side. I'm going to be very high on them. I was high on them last week, and they got me to the window, cashing the ticket handily on this one. But listen, they're 5-1 straight up in ATS this season. Coming to this game, revenge. Beating Bowling Green, like I said, 27-0, easy win on that one, plus 221 net yards in that game. Now, Western Michigan on this one, coming off a road loss versus Mississippi State, SEC opponent, in the P5 on the road, 41-28, losing by the narrowest of margins as far as the net yards is concerned, with a minus 24 net yards in the game. Now, they're 2-4 straight up, 3-3 ATS this season. Coming into this game, now you got Miami, Ohio's defense is the strength this season. Throwing out the outliers of P5 opponents, because they did get crushed by Cincinnati, actually won that game, I believe. And then Miami.
Yeah, is the only one.
I'm not, those two outliers, but let's talk about teams within their conference play. Kent State, they held Kent State to 3 points, and they held Bowling Green last week to 0 points with a plus 154 net yard average versus those opponents. And they're also holding their opponents on average 171 yards per game, 1.5 yards per carry on the ground, and 54.7 pass completion rate. And they've got 11 sacks versus those opponents in the MAC. Granted, those teams that I mentioned, the Bowling Greens and the Kent States, not the best of the best in that conference, but nonetheless, they're doing their job versus their conference opponents. Miami, Ohio also wants to run the ball. They run the ball 62% of the time with a 4.9 yards per carry with a 4 running back system. So it doesn't matter if you hurt one, there's still 3 on the other side that can get the job done. Western Michigan has shown some weaknesses at stopping the run. 4.7 yards per carry given up to opponents, 6 yards per carry or more to 3 out of their 6 opponents this year. So if you're an exceptional running team, you're going to be able to get the yards on this Western Michigan defense. These two teams met last season. Western Michigan winning the game 16-10 as 6.5 point road dogs. And now you're seeing the line flip on the other side, minus 8.5 to the Miami, Ohio. They're favored on the road, so they get an extra 2 points on that one, but they're not playing at home. So that should tell you a little bit of line correlation on this one, that it is a Miami, Ohio side. Western Michigan has allowed 1 out of the last 9 straight have won 1 out of the last 9 straight up versus Miami, Ohio. So really you have a Miami, Ohio team that dominates this Western Michigan team. Miami, Ohio 3-1 ATS is an away favorite. Western Michigan 4-8 ATS is a home dog. Home team is 2-4 straight up in the ATS. Western Michigan being the home team in the last 6 meetings. So Miami, Ohio is a team to back, especially in conference play. They underperformed last season, and they want to prove out that they are the top of the MAC. Look out, Ohio. Here comes Miami, Ohio. Got to ride with the boys on this one. Miami, Ohio is the play. I got it at minus 8.5, and it's the 2-unit special, baby. That's how you play in the crumbs, baby. Let's go back into the chat. Football guy, yes, it happened at Oregon. Yeah, the Oregon one I did mention, but there was another one that was with another school. I got to go look at where Cristobal coached elsewhere, but somebody brought up another point. I can't remember what show I heard it on, but I thought it was very interesting. Dabby Cab on this one says, yeah, damn, he's on UNC first half. It seems like lately I give out the picks and he's like, oh, I'm on the opposite side, but I'm on first half. So I got to root for his first halves and hopefully I get there in the game for my guy, Dabby Cab. And of course, football guy loves the look ahead for Penn State. UMass plus 42. Listen, I got there last week with UMass. I couldn't get there this time just because the fact that, Peterson wants to cover spreads. He doesn't care. He really doesn't. I don't know why people want to fade Penn State at all, because he basically writes it on his clipboard and he makes sure he looks at that number. And if he's not at that number, he's going to get there eventually. So I would keep backing Penn State as much as possible from a betting perspective, because they are going to cover against any of these little lackluster, low-level teams. I just see it happening today. Let's watch. See it in the fourth quarter when they're up 35 or 30 and watch what happens on that one. Let's talk about some of these other big games that are on the board here. We talked about USC. This one's an interesting one here. You know, both these teams coming off a loss. Of course, Missouri, we talked about versus LSU, and Kentucky themselves getting dominated versus Georgia last week in what everyone thought Georgia was down. I mean, stop. Georgia's never down. Georgia just is a bulldog waiting to bite your leg off. All right. So, and that's what happened to the Kentucky last week. Now you have these two teams meeting. Kentucky, the home team on this one. Missouri, wishy-washy on the road, but this team is a little bit different. Eli Drakowitz really got these guys cooking. I'll start with you, Mike. Do you have any thoughts on the Missouri and Kentucky game?
Yeah, I didn't look into this one too much. There were some other games that kind of drew my attention here. Just maybe after the way they played last week, I wasn't really fond of this game. It's definitely very, very low on my radar. If I had to go with a spot, I'd probably go to Missouri. I'd probably lean on the Mizzou side of things, just because I like the way their defense has been able to come through, albeit inconsistent at best. I would probably take the points on the road as opposed to if you look at the number and it's 3 or it's around 3, 2.5, they're saying that Mizzou's about a half point better if you figure in that 3-point home rule type of thing, right? The home team gets the 3 points as far as being to the advantage. Yeah. And I think that makes sense. I think that Missouri is that half a tick better. So you're giving me 2.5 points in a game that I think comes down to less than a field goal. That's the spot that I got to lean to.
Connor, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm off. Doesn't it to me, it just seems like this is 2.5. This hasn't moved. Like they're just telling you, take Kentucky. And we see a ton of them bets on them and the money. And I think they could win this game coming back home after, just getting their ass whipped. And then on the flip side, Missouri, the whole in the game the whole time with LSU and then losing it and the bad turnover at the end. Right. 2 quarterbacks that comes down to turnovers here with Cook, Leary. Leary doesn't have to do a ton, just don't make a ton of mistakes. They need to run the ball, which they will. It's tough because I just don't love it's kind of public, and it just seems like the 2.5. But I think Kentucky can get it done. But I think the game could be close.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's just I'm off in the end. But if I had to, for even, I'd take Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm high on this Missouri team altogether, but I like them at home better that I like them on the road. I know they're improving as far as their road performances are concerned, but they used to be just a fade team altogether, especially when they get into the SEC. But this team's a little bit different. Listen, Brady Cook, you can say what you want about him, but the first time that he actually turned over the ball was last week. He had 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions versus LSU. Of course, that pick 6 was one of them. But this guy's cooking. He has 9.9 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns. And there's a wide receiver that nobody's talking about, the sophomore Luther Burden. This guy is arguably going to be the number 1 wide receiver taken in the draft next year. It's like not next year, but the year after, because I think he's got 1 more year of eligibility left before he can actually go out to the draft. This kid is exceptional. He has 14.7 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns, 793 yards. He is by far their number 1 receiver with 54 receptions. This kid is exceptional. I think also the running back, Cody Schrader, is really good as well. Their offense is cooking. I think this may be a spot we need to be taking Missouri, but it's nothing I'm going to be taking officially on this one. I lean Missouri. However, I'm going to pass on this game because they're both coming from similar positions, like losing badly versus a team in dramatic fashion. And I think both are in the same position as far as bounce back is concerned. So it could go one direction or the other. And that's why the line is sitting here at 2.5. So you pick a winner. Don't take the points, take the money line on whatever side you like in that game. All right, before all you guys that are watching right now, I saw 30, I saw 40, I saw 28. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can get all the content. Make sure you hit the bell so you know every time that we go live. And I want to make sure for anybody that missed it, that are just joining us now, make sure you get into the chat, ask your questions. I'm going to pull them up as we go. And we have 2 guys that are joining me right now that are exceptional cappers as far as college football is concerned, extremely knowledgeable, looked across the board. So we have the opinions on most every single game. But I want to make sure that the people that missed it, I brewed it myself. I put a little bit of cream, I put a little bit of sugar in it, and it's called the Cup of Coffee Parlay.
And I woke up this morning with no coffee, so I'm getting chapped up just seeing that steaming hot deliciousness there. That's tough. I had to go right to
You know what they say? The best part of waking up is a cup of parlay in your cup, and this is what we're going to give you today. We got Miami, Ohio money line, A&M money line, South Carolina money line, Washington money line. I think that is my top play of the day, Washington over Oregon. I think they're going to absolutely boat race this Oregon team that has not been tested yet. Georgia State money line, Air Force money line, Mizzou money line. We talked about that one. I had to throw them in the parlay because I love a good dog. And of course, another good dog on this one, Northern Illinois playing Ohio. I think is an exceptional play on this one, and that it is plus 17,390. You put $10 on it, it'll get you $1,739, baby. So jump on it. Only a couple of coffees. Couple cups of coffee. I think coffee now is like anywhere between $3 to $5. So don't spend your entire bankroll on this. We're just having a little fun here on a Saturday, baby.
It used to be $1, you know?
Yeah. And then they just keep raising the price. You can't even, you tried to get a turbo shot. Turbo shots cost as much as a cup of coffee now. It's crazy. Going back here. I said football guy likes the over 50.5 in the Oregon-Washington game. I believe he's talking about. Oh no, he's talking about
Missouri.
Missouri, Kentucky. That's the one.
Yeah, that Missouri
He
game.
likes
Yeah.
the over in that one. Yeah, I don't hate that one. I think these two offenses get it moving here, and of course, if
The weather looks a little better too. I see
right.
it's the wind only maybe 12, 13, and not really any rain. So where it looked like it could have been worse. So
Yeah. So you got the weather improvement on this one. I think it's still at 50.5 here on the boards. Looks like I'm seeing 50.5 across most books. So go grab it now. May get steamed up before game time on this one. 7:30 p.m. That game kicks off. Another game that we haven't talked about yet is this UCLA Oregon State game. Of course, UCLA coming off a nice little win for themselves last week, and then Oregon State going back to where they play their best ball at home in. Why am I drawing a blank where they play? But this is seems like one of the spots that you always have to take Oregon State no matter what because they're playing at home. They cover at a rapid rate there. However, this is a challenge for them against UCLA. I'll start with you, Mike. Have you looked at this game?
Yeah. So, one of the best teams to do it in the country, kind of a underrated, you mentioned the home field advantage, but, or the home field and the strength therein. But when they come back home after they've been on the road, they beat up teams. They beat them up pretty handily as well. I have it written down here. Where's my Oregon State number? 9-0 straight up and against the spread, covering by double digits on the spread when they're coming back off a road game. So their first game back seems like they can handle these teams pretty easily. UCLA, on the other hand, though, pretty dominant team this year. They've certainly been firing in the right direction. They had that big win there against Washington State. They covered the spread as well, important factor. They played Utah to a low-scoring game, but they were dogs for a reason, and they didn't get the job done on the road there. But then you got, a couple of punching bags in the league as well. So for me in this spot here, I'd have to take Oregon State just with that big factor that when they return home, I don't know if it's just because it's a tough travel spot for road teams to get there and they've got the creature comforts of being home, but I got to go Oregon State on this side of things here. I'm not a big UCLA guy this year. And -3.5 seems like a modest number. I don't like that hook in there, but I'd open at 4.5 and it's starting to come down. So I know people are on that UCLA side of things and feeling like, hey, we're going to get these points and it's a road spot. So it makes a lot of sense. But when you factor in that travel element and the fact that Oregon State's coming back home, it's Oregon State or nothing for me.
Yeah, DJ Uungalele step up on this one. Make sure I call out Shark. Shark has this play at first half -2.5. I actually like the number. You get it a little bit shaped down on this one. Oregon State in a bounce back. And then you have football guys saying, "Come on, Guns! Royal Farms in Maryland is 250." I'd rather drink my my own hot urine than drink gas station coffee, to be honest with you. And then, of course, I got it wrong. I was thinking of Corvallis. Yes, Corvallis is the name of the place they're playing on this one. All right, I'll go to you, Connor Mack. Do you have any thoughts, UCLA and Oregon State?
Yeah, I've been impressed with this UCLA defense. I still think we got to see more from the last 2 years where all I did was take their overs and they cashed rapid pace. I think it was like 11-1 last year. That's not happened. And the only over was that team they played, NC Central, whatever they won, 59-7, that game at home at the Rose Bowl. I think you look to the under in this game. It's going to be on more for UCLA. And we talk about, there's just spots. Salt Lake, there's Corvallis here at night. I'm not going to bet against them. So I think you take Oregon State or nothing in this matchup. And I do like the under 54.5.
Yeah, I mean, going against Oregon State at home is just you're just playing, you're just toying. It's Russian roulette. I mean, there's no teams that can really go into that place and actually play their best ball. And it looks like what I'm seeing here is like 48% of the tickets, 51% of the money are on the Oregon State side. So it seems like a little bit of a sharp angle here. And of course, the under is only getting 41% of the tickets, 45% of the money. So I think this is probably a take on lean on the Oregon State side, obviously, and then the under. I would say, from my opinion on it, Coin says, DJ, you, the St. John Bosco alum, shout out to him. I mean, listen, he has revived his career coming off losing his job to Cade Klubnik, one of the worst names in college football, and losing his job there at Clemson, and then revives it going to Oregon State. Exceptional move, worked out for him, and I hope he excels over there. All right, let's talk about my final added play, and I'm playing in the crumbs again, as always, like I do. We call this the late night degenerate special. This game does kick
All
off
right.
at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern
Oh,
Standard
yeah.
Time. It is get all my money back game. It is San Jose State. They're going to the island to go play Hawaii, and I like Hawaii on this one on the +6. I think it's a good spot for them. Listen, let's talk about these two teams for a second. Now we got San Diego State 2-4 straight up, 3-3 ATS this season, and they're on a 4-game losing streak. They had a bye last week, and they were off a road loss after losing to Air Force 49-10. I believe I had Air Force in that game, and they were dominated in the net yardage battle, minus 249 net yards in that game. Absolutely crushed there by Air Force. Now you got Hawaii 2-4 straight up, 2-3-1 ATS so far this season. They're coming off a bye as well. The last game they got crushed on the road versus UNLV 44-20, losing the net yardage in that one, minus 90 net yards, and having a -2 turnover ratio. San Diego State's defense has been a massive issue, which they haven't had in years. San Diego State used to have one of the best defenses in the G5s. Not so much anymore. They give up 438 yards per game of total offense to their opponents, 5.3 yards per carry, rushing, ranked 124th in the country as far as that is concerned, and 8.6 yards per attempt in the passing game, ranked 114th in the country. So they give up in the passing game, they give up in the rushing games. Now, what does Hawaii do? They have an exceptional passing offense. They average 279 yards per game passing, 6.9 yards per attempt, and 63.8% completion rate. Looking at these teams and looking at the last two matchups between these two teams, Hawaii lost by a possession or less. Okay. They lost 17-10 in 2021. They lost 16-14 on the road in 2022. They were 28.5-point road dogs last season, and now the number is 6. What a change in the shift of line correlation from year one to year two. And then you got to look at Hawaii. How have they done on the island? Absolutely exceptional. 7-3-1 ATS as the home dog, 7-2 ATS versus conference opponents. It's a triple revenge spot for Hawaii. They're playing at home where they play their best ball. The line regression from year one to year two is so significant. I couldn't lay off this Hawaii game. Late night degenerate special. Get right, get cash, go to bed, wake up with money so you can spend it on the NFL tomorrow. Give me Hawaii here, +6, 2-unit special, baby. Woo! Has anybody look at that game? What are your thoughts?
Sorry, yeah, so I took a peek here, and there's a couple of games that fit the model here, and it's basically both teams coming off of losses. When they had subpar offensive performance against their season averages, are 89-43 against the spread. A bunch of teams follow that model this week here. Notre Dame, Miami, Mizzou, Duke, and Hawaii fall into that 89-43 angle. Slim margin at 4.5, but certainly a good spot. You mentioned their ability when they play on the island, the travel spot. It's a vacation destination, not a place for college football players to go and try to go out there and be competitive. They've shown that they can't get it done here. I like that Hawaii look a lot.
Yeah, I'm seeing the lines. The sixes are still out there. I'm seeing 5.5 starting to pop up on the board as we get closer to game time. I'm feeling like this line is going to steam down some. That's just my opinion on that. Have you looked at this game, C-Mac? What are your thoughts?
I have took Hawaii. I gave it out on the radio earlier this week. I'm on the 6 here with Hawaii. You guys went through it well. This is one where I feel maybe a little bit where you'd want the touchdown, just to be safe.
Yeah.
But I think we're all right here. I think you got to take some, obviously, in this game, money line as well. San Diego State, just not a very good football team, like you mentioned. I love Hawaii. One thing they do, you talked about, they can throw it around, and I think they will here. They'll be able to score some points. Whether this game's high scoring, I'm not so sure, but I think it would be close. I like the Hawaii bet. Take some money line. I'm all over it with you guys.
Hell yeah, baby. And I was just going to pull up something because I know Shark liked the over on this one, and I know the under is one of those things that have hit in this game. 4 straight unders going back to, I think, 2019. But you got to look at the number correlation on this one. 47.5, 57.5, 45, 48. And you got the total sitting here at 52.5. I think it's telling an over story. And I think what Shark was getting to is these two defenses are just not good. Their offenses, they're probably going to score a lot of points. It's going to be tit for tat. It could come down to the last possession. I think it's a lean to the over even for me, but I know Shark put it out officially last night on taking the over in the late night degenerate special. So I think that is
Crazy things on the island. Crazy
Easy.
shit late at night.
Yep.
I love it. They're going to be in this football game.
Coin calls it the bailout special late night on the island. We love it.
Yeah.
We love it. Circa has it at 5 right now. Yeah, go shop around. Go find those 6s. I mean, I guess 5, 6, it really doesn't matter. They're not really hitting any particular key numbers. 7's the key number that you want. I don't think those exist anymore unless you want to pay a little juice. But I would try to get the best number possible on this one. I got it at +6 last night, and I think it's probably going to drop by game time. Shark putting out his notes on this one. 16, 14, 7. That's right. There was a ton of yards in the game last year. The line was 49. It was 759 yards of total offense shared between those two teams, and they only scored that many points.
Crazy.
It's pretty exceptional. 30 points.
That's what does make me nervous about Hawaii is they don't have that ability to stomp on somebody, and they kind of need that opponent to be fueling them to continue to move the ball down the field. So hopefully we do see a little bit from both sides that over cashes with ease.
Yeah. We might see some flags too, wild flags and shit too going on. I love it.
But that's going to be the one. You're going to watch all those games. You're going to be a little bit tipsy, a little bit hungover. You're like, oh, maybe I should stay up and watch this game, or should I go to bed? Yeah, I'm going to watch a little bit of Hawaii. Why not? Stay up a little bit late. Treat yourself on this beautiful Saturday into Sunday morning. Looking at this board, I think we've talked about most of the big games. Oh, you know what? We haven't talked about this one. Oregon, Washington. Of course, I talked about it last night, how much I love Washington today versus this Oregon team. I broke it down. If you want to go check that out, the video's in there from the show Knowledge for College with me and the Shark. But I want to ask your guys' opinion on it. Let's start with you, Mike. What are your thoughts on Oregon and Washington?
Boy, the number's a coin flip here. I mean, the 3 points, is that the right spot with what we talked about earlier in that home field? You look at the bets and the cash, they're pretty split, 56% of the bets, 48% of the money. I mean, it's a dead middle spot here where the public and the sharps really haven't kind of tipped their hand one way or the other as to what they see. But I'm going to lean to your side here with this Washington spot, specifically because Oregon, when they're in the dog roll, they're 0-5 against the spread as a dog. They're losing by almost 19 points when they're marked as a dog. Now, do they lose this one and get – I mean, that would be effectively a beatdown from Washington. I don't know that we see a beatdown in this spot here, but I definitely like that Oregon team. I've been saying before, from a team that's 5-0, they're 5-0 for a reason. Their last 3 seasons, they've been top grading that offense and defense collectively across the board. 3 years back, they brought in a ton of young talent from all over the country. I know one of the guys was here in my backyard that got brought over there. The kid was fast. He was athletic. He was agile, and he didn't make the cut. So surprisingly enough, 3 years later, they continue to make those moves and get stronger and faster. And I think they're going to give Washington all they can handle today. But the key is I think that home factor is a big deal for Washington. Coming back after that game against Arizona, yeah, they were 20-point favorites. They didn't get the job done, but previous to that, they covered against Cal. They covered against Michigan State as well. I think it's a good spot for Washington today.
Yeah, Shark says this is a 13-point double-digit win here for Washington. I'm starting to see 3.5 starting to pop up on the board now. This could be a steam in the right direction. Everybody, it looks like the Sharps are really slamming this Washington line, getting past the key number of 3. And if you haven't picked it up now, go find the 3 because after that, I wouldn't take it at 3.5. But I'll bring it to you, Connor. What are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I'd say the 2 best offenses and, top 5, it seems like in almost every category. One thing, if Washington, though, you think they're going to kind of win here big at home, I mean, Penix, they have all that. They give up over 300 yards on the ground to Oregon last year. I mean, if they can't stop Oregon running it, that kills the clock, they won't run away from this game, and it will be close. And maybe the hook could be alive. I think this is I don't have a bet. I think you watch this one. I mean, unless you really like one side, I think there's an advantage, but I think this is a good football game. And maybe a game you bet live. This may be one I don't want to pregame, but if we're seeing something, a big run, but the team's moving the ball, you can get over a touchdown. So I will be watching, that's for sure.
Yeah, it could be a good opportunity if this does go up past the 3 mark, like I'm seeing across the board.
Yeah, there's hooks already.
Yeah, there's hooks out there. You may have to wait till game time Oregon scores a touchdown, you can get some value on the line. I still like them live in certain situations, especially early on. Try to get the best number possible. But you brought it up. It was like when you see Oregon as a dog, you see what happens to them. They completely just fall on themselves. It was Oregon State last year. It was Georgia. Georgia beat the snot piss out of them in neutral site. They're 2-5 ATS since 2021 as a dog. When you have Washington as a home team, 7-3 ATS. And when you talk about Oregon, is like, well, Oregon's stomping everybody. They're cruising. I was like, well, they played Portland State, Hawaii, Colorado, Stanford. I mean, these are not the world beaters. I think the real barometer of who Oregon is was Texas Tech when they went on the road and played out there. Texas Tech just under the Mendoza line, ranked 26 in the country currently. Only lot was really driving down the field down to the 50 before they threw the pick six, misleading outcome on this one. But they gave up a ton of yards to Texas Tech in week 2. They gave up 456 yards of total offense to them, 5.4 yards per carry, 282 yards passing. So I think that is who truly Oregon is, and they're playing the best offense that they've faced all season long. I think Washington is going to really put some numbers up on this team and surprise a lot of people that, listen, nobody's talking about Washington. A lot of people talking about Oregon. I think Penix gets it done here easily. Double-digit win, in my opinion. But that is how it's done here on this beautiful Saturday. I want to what are your top? I don't think we asked you, Connor. Maybe my memory stinks, but what are your top plays today?
We already gave out Hawaii as one. I jumped on this early in the week, but I think 9's fine. I took UAB plus 10 against UTSA. UTSA is back home. You know, this is one that's in the dome. There's going to be a ton of points, but UAB now to go on the road and win, you know, might be pump the brakes, but 4-2 ATS. I think UTSA, watching Temple score on them, and Temple kind of give it away, you know, late to Temple to score what it was, 34-35 last week. Yeah. UAB is going to score on this football team, and I think they're in it from start to finish. I took the plus 10 with them, and no weather here. I know this total's high. I think, you know, it's a shootout.
Great. Yeah. You play in the crumbs like I do. And man, I love the games that I can't watch on TV. That's the way I go. And I see 31 of you beautiful bastards watching me on YouTube. I don't know how many are watching on Twitter X. But make sure you like and subscribe to the Shark Waters Nation channel and hit the like button and get into the comments, baby, and make sure you support this channel, support this show. We give out this information for the low price of $0.00. All we ask you to do is hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Before we close it out, I want to make sure I properly say thank you to Mikey M and C-Mac for joining me today. I'll start with you, Mikey. Tell them where they can find you all over the social media stratosphere.
Try to keep working hard here. A couple other spots I'm going to shout out there real quick here, if you don't mind, in our closing thoughts here.
Fire away, baby.
I got to look on this James Madison's over. I'm just going to rapid fire some of these things. James Madison, I've got to look on the over in that game. James Madison, 8-0 to the over, covered by almost 14 points. I like this Pittsburgh over as well. Pittsburgh, Louisville, when there's a total under 47, they're 9-0 to the over. We've already seen that number drop 3 points, 4 points in some spots as well. They're going over the original posted number by 12. So now you've got another 3 or 4 in your pocket as well to kind of get to that over. I like that spot a lot. I'm going to fade my Syracuse spot here. When Syracuse is losing, they continue to lose. They are just not a team that gets done and rallies after a loss. You know, they kind of start out quickly in the season. They get motivated and fired up early. Then they take a loss, and then it's like walking through quicksand. It just compounds. They take another loss. When Syracuse is coming off a loss, they lose again 8 times in a row. That's happened. They're losing by almost 12 points against the spread in that spot. And the last spot I'll share with you guys here is the Nick Saban factor. Look at this Nick Saban. Some of these games are pretty early. Look at Nick Saban here, and you see Alabama versus Arkansas. What does Nick Saban do when he plays a bad SEC team? He exposes and exploits them. Yeah, he's 26-1 against the spread. That's not going to get us paid at a 19.5, but he is 26-1 straight up. He is 20-7 against the spread. Nick Saban minus 19.5 takes it to bad SEC teams and shows that they are still the perennial powerhouse of the SEC. So just a couple other looks for you guys. Last one I'll throw out there too is Ball State under. I like that Ball State under spot against Toledo today.
Hell yeah, baby. I'll give you a little bit. Pimp slap, always firing plays everywhere he goes. Go check out everything that he's doing on Pub Sports Nerd Radio. You can just find him on @PimpSlapPod on Twitter and see wherever the hell he is all over the stratosphere. That is YouTube and Twitter. C-Mac.
Yeah.
What are you up to in this world? What's going on with you? Tell them where they can find you.
Thanks for having me on, Guns. I appreciate it. I always get going too, even if I slept in, half asleep, not feeling great. But I'm ready, baby. College football, it's time. Well, I'll be live with Cab here in about 45 minutes. Pub Sports Radio. We'll be live, Arkansas, Alabama, and then all game long. You guys are always invited, of course. You're there all the time. What was I going to say? We'll go down more games, as we go through the show. You talked about the Pitt over. I think Pitt could be live. It's ugly. I haven't bet it, but new quarterback, maybe them with the points. I'm on South Carolina. I don't love that I see ones, but I'm on him. At home, I'm fading Florida. Anything when they're not home. I had them last week, and I had them first half too. They got there for me. Now I just want to fade him and Graham Mertz. So South Carolina was another one that I'm on. We hit Auburn, Hawaii, maybe. That's it. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Man.
Connor Mack.
C-Mac, I think we're on the same plays. I gave that out as a 3-unit banger yesterday. South Carolina is one of my top plays, along with Washington. I think those are the two top looks for me today. South Carolina, perfect spot, box checker. In that situation, you always go with the home team versus Florida and South Carolina. I think our old boy Spencer Rattler will not be rattled today, and he'll get it done. I think they're coming off a bye, if I'm not mistaken, on this one. Shane Beamer,
I think so.
Step up, coach up, and get it done, and make Graham Mertz put him on his back and have him get grass stains all over those white pants that they wear for the Florida Gators. But that's going to do it here for the Saturday morning show. If you missed it, I gave out the cup of coffee parlay. I will just pop it up on the screen right now. That's what we're doing today. If you guys want to jump on, go and tail, fade, whatever you want to do, we're due to hit one of these. Seems like the last couple of weeks we've only missed it by like one play. So I think we're overdue here. I like the look today, and we're going to cash this ticket. I am very confident in that. Also, I gave you some added plays on this one. Miami, Ohio, -8.5. I gave you the Auburn look, +11. And, of course, Hawaii, late degenerate special at +6. Those are the added plays. If you want the rest of my plays, go to my Twitter and watch the videos that I'm going to be posting as we get closer to tip off in a lot of these games. Gave out the 6-pack of plays last night. That gives you 9 and the cup of coffee parlay. You're welcome, America. That is what I do. But thanks, everybody. Appreciate Pimp Slap. Appreciate C-Mac for joining me today. Let's have ourselves a damn Saturday. And as always, let's keep dancing. Bang.